Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Alex, and iOS Developer Beta number 1 is officially out, and it's surprisingly pretty stable, but I still wouldn't recommend installing it on your main devices yet. There's still a handful of apps that just flat out don't work, but it's expected. It's a beta, so after all, we're probably going to see this guy launch towards the end of this year officially with the new iPhones. And speaking of iPhones, iOS 14 is going to be supporting a lot of them, up until the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, which I actually still have one, and if you do own one, you can rock iOS 14 on it. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this new update with the all-new home screen redesign, where we now have a new widget system. So widgets were not necessarily new. They sort of already existed on Today View. However, you can now drag them over to your home screen and are free to customize them. Within restrictions, of course, because it is Apple, so you do have to deal with that. But these widgets are essentially these app tiles that are interactive. Anyone remember Windows phones? Yeah, these tiles are back. They do snap to a grid, so you can't go ahead and put them wherever you want, and there are a couple different variants you can choose through within the settings. So whether or not you want more information or less information in a more compact design, Apple is giving you the option to basically arrange them in any way you want to see them on your home screen. And there's also a new feature called Smart Stacks. So in order to activate or create a Smart Stack, you basically have to drag a widget into another widget and essentially stack them. So here you're quite literally creating a stack that you can scroll through depending on what you're looking for. And these smart stacks can actively adapt depending on your habits and the time of day. So if you wake up in the morning and you want to check your news, or you want to look on your calendar, you can do that now. Or while in the evening, if you'd like to look at your weather and notice the boiling summer heat in your state, you can do that too. These widgets do seem to be currently only native Apple apps, so third-party support is ultimately going to come over time. And these smart stacks are fully customizable and seem to be really useful in reducing clutter and organizing your homepage. Now, the homepage search bar is now more accurate and will actually show you information from online. So the search bar has also been improved on the home screen as well. And speaking of your homepage, you can now jump into the now infamous Jiggle mode, which essentially allows you to completely remove certain pages off your home screen. And all these apps will now be located in the app library. Now, the app library is pretty much the first time Apple has introduced a full-fledged app drawer, where these apps are automatically organized by category and allow you to search for a specific app within the library. Getting to this app library is as simple as swiping to your last page on your home screen, and after a couple hours, I pretty much got used to it. The app library allows you to pretty much locate different applications pretty easily. All right, so moving on to more features that have been added to iOS 14, we find a newly redesigned Siri, which happens to be a lot less intrusive on requests. Normally, your Siri requests are followed with a complete screen takeover, and this has now been minimized to this little floating Siri bubble at the bottom of your screen. So information is now relayed at the top of your screen, so you can view something while requesting Siri. You still can't interact with the screen while Siri's open, but it's definitely an improvement. Now, will time tell if we can eventually interact with what's below Siri? Yeah, well, we're gonna see how it's gonna work. Siri is also gonna be taking a deeper dive into your question requests by taking internet searches into her responses now. And you can also send audio messages with Siri, so you can do that if you're into it. Another feature that has finally arrived with iOS 14 is picture-in-picture mode, and a lot of you guys seem to be pretty freaking happy about it. Picture-in-picture pretty much works exactly how you'd expect it to work. Have a full-screen video open and swipe to the home screen. You can move it around, resize it, or even swipe it off-screen and keep audio playing. So I've tried it with Netflix and YouTube, and it's a great feature to finally have. And this also works with FaceTime. So if you do want to multitask while chatting with someone, you now have that option. Now, calls are also more compact and minimalistic. They hover around the top of your screen instead of taking over the entire screen on an incoming call, and this is honestly one of my features with this update. Time after time, you get a phone call and all your content or what you're doing is just violently interrupted with a phone call. So it's a lot more minimalistic and it's a lot cleaner. They also added a native translate app into iOS now. Here you can basically translate languages with real-time conversations. Not an insane amount of languages currently supported, but enough for launch. I'm sure they're going to be added a lot more languages as time goes on. There's also a bunch of new options that they've added with the accessibility options, and here you'll find a new option that will be able to pick up certain sounds and and notify you. For example, if you're hearing impaired and you'd like to be notified when a smoke alarm goes off or when your dog barks, your phone will now notify you and use the microphones to pick up that sound. And there's also a new feature that essentially creates touch recognition on the back of your phone. So I've tried this with a couple of different cases and by just tapping on the back of the phone, and all of them seem to work perfectly. So you can now create a double tap or triple tap on the back of your phone and remap that to a shortcut. Whether you want to take a screenshot or open the camera app, you can route a Siri shortcut to do this on double tap as well. It's a pretty neat feature, but I have noticed the occasional misclick of just like adjusting your grip when using your phone. Sometimes you can kind of alert it and it'll go off. So maybe it's going to be refined with time, but I think we're going to find out. There's also a couple tinier settings that Apple threw in that didn't really mention, like long pressing the back option within the settings will open this little menu that will let you jump into another setting without having to go all the way back, and Control Center also has a couple new shortcuts. Sleep mode and sound recognition are now there, and Safari now has a tracking report that can show you what information is being accessed. So a lot of options and privacy securities have been added with iOS 14. Now, at any time a camera or microphone is being used, you'll see a little indicator that lets you know that it's on, like something we've seen on the MacBooks with that little light. However, on here, it's a little digital light. Night mode also got a tiny feature thrown in. You now have a crosshair guide to keep you steady when your camera is grabbing light. Maps have also gotten guides like EV routing, cycling, and guides. However, I haven't really tested these out. I'm sure these are going to be on full launch. And messages have gotten a soft overhaul of features. So group chats can now have a default chat photo. Inline messaging can now allow you to specifically target a person or reply to a person in chat. And you can now pin specific conversations to the top of the messages. So you can no longer forget to text mom. No excuses, guys. There's also a new emoji discover feature along with Memoji stickers. Finding emojis are a lot easier and fluid now. Just type what you're looking for into the bar and you're good to go. So that's pretty much it for iOS 14. There is a couple things that are going to be coming once launch is closer, like the ability to set a default browser, the ability to set a default email, and possibly the ability to set a default music player. It's something I'd love to add to my iOS wish list because having Spotify over Apple Music is something I really enjoy. And overall, we've seen a lot of features that have been taken from Android, from jailbreaks, and even Windows phones, ironically. And now that Apple has them, they've slowly refined them and introduced them into iOS 14. So that's pretty much the video, guys. I think we have a lot to look forward to in the future. Drop down what you guys would like to see below on iOS 14 or iOS in the future. And that's pretty much it for everything, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. See ya.